YouTube, it's Greg, and today I'm gonna talk about or give a review about Time Tourist Outfitters by Christy Nicholas. Um, so this video is gonna be a bit more like a podcast. It's just gonna be a picture of the cover of the book and nothing else to it. So this review will contain spoilers. So I will lay out this review in first addressing world building, characters, plot, magic systems, and some issues I had with this. So, in summary, the main character with the Firestone, um, she is basically forced to travel into the past because this is a story about time traveling, and she basically explores three different eras, and she has to figure out why the other time travelers are dying, basically. They're dying from disease, but they don't know what the disease is, or like what's causing it, what's happening. So she seems to be immune to this disease, and so she can travel back in time, right? And so this is a story about uncovering this mysterious illness. So, the world building. I'll talk about the magic system separately. The world building. This is a story about people who design clothing for time travelers, right? That's Wilda and her sidekick, which honestly, the sidekick could be a talking piece of ham, but that's for this other section. Um, so one day they are forced to travel to the past, because they're immune to this disease. Again, we'll talk about that in the plot. But anyways, the main character and sidekick are forced to travel back to the past at three different eras. They do one. I don't remember the first one. The second one was made before Columbus, so like Native Americans, and the third one was Vikings, or some era with Vikings. So Christy Nicholas is a white woman writing about Native Americans, right? That's a very sensitive, touchy topic, right? Typically, when it comes to these types of stuff, Christianity is usually always on the table. Everything else is usually off the table. So her talking about Native Americans is a brave take. It could, if she wants to use her platform to talk about Native Americans, that's fine. So the issue is that the main character in the story, I remember it's a line that's like, the main character does spend a month or two with Native Americans to reclaim her roots because yes, this trope applies here. She claims to be like a fraction Native American. And it's like, okay, yeah, so there's that. I don't love it. Don't love it at all. So, there's that trope. Again, the author is white. This is a self-published book. Um, and so I don't want to doubt her research. It could be pretty good research. Like, this could be accurate. I just don't know, and I don't know if this is good representation, right? Like, I don't know how much I could trust her to talk about Native Americans, right? So I kind of wish there was like just a title, like a front page, or like, you know, like the page after the dedication, because there's a dedicated page here. So I wish she talked about like what sources she used for research, who checks this over, like any historians, or the people who specialize in communication between Native Americans and, Americans, like did they read this over? Like, did someone check this over to see if this is inaccurate or accurate representation? Because she is really brave for doing this. I think it could go wrong very easily, very quickly. So I do think Christy Nicholas is very brave for talking about Native Americans. I don't know if Christy Nicholas is Native American herself, but she has a little picture at the bottom on the back, and she looks fairly white, so I don't know how much she herself identifies with Native Americans. But again, I would like for her to like state her relationship with Native Americans before she starts using her platform to talk about Native Americans, because like, you know, yeah, it's, you know, even nowadays we still have conflicts with Native Americans because I do environmental science. I hear about companies polluting ancestral lakes for Native Americans, and Native Americans are pissed. You know, obviously, like even today there's still problems, and so like it's a very, very brave take to just start talking about Native Americans as presumably a white woman. You know what I mean? Again, I really just wish she stated her relationship with Native Americans for sources. We check this over and all that stuff because it is a risky game. Um, as for the time traveling, I guess I could talk about it now. Like the actual magic system of time traveling, it's not done anything. It's not anything special or worth worth no worth noteworthy. Blah. You can replace time traveling with like hopping between parallel worlds or virtual simulations, and it'll be exactly the same. Like time traveling at most just allows for a few lines here and there about the characters relating to their scene and setting, which you could honestly do with virtuals and parallel hopping. Anyways, you could do that anything, anytime, anywhere. It's not special. So yeah, mm, there's that. And so the characters. Okay, the characters. Oh gosh, where to start? The characters are not characters. There are no character arcs. I so there's this main character called Wilda Firestone. She has her sidekick. The sidekick could be a talking piece of ham. Um, like honestly, the side character has no personality other than just to be a talking piece, like a reflective mirror of the main character. Like even that she doesn't do particularly well. Like I wouldn't say secondary characters have any personality traits or any noteworthy. There are no character arcs. For the side characters, arguably for the main character, and that's a real stretch. Um, again, they're just fashion designers, historical fashion designers, like they study fashion history. That's like their only personality trait. Yeah. And so for the main character who might have a character arc, if you stretch the definition of a character arc, doesn't have a strong character arc at the very least. So basically, the main character lost their family, and the character arc is her explaining to the reader her story. She's not like explaining her story to someone else or, learning to communicate better. She is literally telling her story to the reader about how she lost her family. That's not really an arc, is it? Um, I don't mean to be insensitive, but like, it's great for this character that, she opened up about her past, but like, it doesn't serve any purpose to the plot, nor to developing herself, um, or to the story in general. Like, nothing, it's so extra. You could easily take out those pages and nothing would have changed. Literally nothing. Like, I like to imagine that characters exist for themselves, by themselves, and not for others. Like, they don't depend on the reader, right? Like, us reading about them should have no impact on them, right? Like, it's not like the reader, like, the main character is aware of us. If she is, I mean, that's some pretty untapped potential there. I think that could be interesting to explore, but, that's not here or there. Um, so what is a character arc? A character arc, arguably, very basically and briefly, it's the hero's journey, right? They are forced to leave. They go to the depths of their lives, right? Very low points, and then they triumph. basic character arc, right? Some character arcs are short, some are very long, some of them go backwards or in reverse or whatever, right? So they are complicated. And so, what's the character's journey here? She learns to open up to the reader, not even to her talking side piece. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a character arc. I don't know what else to tell you. The characters are not characters. Yeah. Um, as for the plot, um, oh gosh, this plot is also a mess. So basically, I would describe plot as cohesive beats, right? Or overlapping lines. So you have line A goes from 1 to 2, and then you have line B that goes from 1/2 to 3, and then you have C that goes from 2 to 5 or something like that, overlapping points. Um, Overlapping miniature stories, I guess, to make one more cohesive, greater than the sum story, right? Um, so they travel back to 3 different eras, right? According to my definition of plot, each of these different eras, even if they're failures or like super successful, they should each contribute something to the plot. Only the last one contributed to the plot. The last two were a waste of time, and I don't think that's fair to the reader or how a well-written story should be done. Right? I feel like there should have been like a few red herrings or, something that could be useful or that, can mislead the reader thinking about something. Like, genuinely, it's not until like literally the third arc that you start encountering something that is relevant, plot relevant, to solving this mysterious illness that is killing the time agents. It's not in the first one, it's not in the second one. And so, basically, there isn't really any sense of cohesion. Like, between the characters and the plot, right? There isn't any, cohesion. I know I just repeated it, but like, the plot does not progress. It is very static. It is not overlapping lines. It is line A goes from 1 to 2, line B goes from 2 to 3, and line 3 goes to 3 to 4, right? It's very linear. It's not entertaining. It's not thrilling. Um, it's not like there's any smaller plot points nestled in or smaller character arcs between other characters. Don't forget there's no characters in this. Um, so it's like not exciting. The plot was boring, frankly. And okay, so the twist. So the way I would define a twist, right? It's something that redefines the story. That if you don't have that twist, you essentially have another story. So if you do read that twist, you have one story. If you don't read that twist, you don't have that story. You get two separate stories, right? The twist in here is so pointless. Absolutely pointless. They discover who is the cause or what is the cause of the mysterious illness and who's behind it, but it doesn't matter. They could have literally replaced it with some random hobo on the street. Again, no characters. No character arcs, just characteristics. Character traits, I guess. And it's like, ay. Like, the twist is not a twist. It does not redefine the story. It is the same story with or without it. It is pathetic. And like, so here's a thing I did not, well, I guess I should talk about how I would improve it, right? How would I improve the story? First, I would get someone to read it over. I don't think there were any beta readers in the story. Alpha readers, maybe. Beta readers, probably not. And I get it. This is self-published. It is, not infinite money. And by the way, the format of the book is actually really interesting. It's hardcover, but no book jacket, so that's interesting. And also, like, the actual format of the pages, I think they're like quarter inches on the side, quarter inch from the top, and maybe 3/4 of an inch from the bottom, I think. Yeah, it's interesting proportions, and I do kind of like it. Saves a whole lot of paper. um. So yeah, the format definitely reflects its self-published nature. Um. Oh yeah, but basically, one common point that's totally irrelevant to the plot and characters is that the reason how this mysterious illness is coming in is because people from modern era want to see their ancestors, so they're time traveling to the past, and then they bring this mysterious disease because they bring some substance with them, right? Um, Yet it doesn't really play a point. Like, the way I would improve it is that I would give the main character a motif, like a motif about wanting to see dead family, wanting to see past family, wanting to find a grip in reality, to find a community, to find a place, found family, you know, give it the argument, the theme of what is better, a found family or a family by blood, you know what I mean? And like it could be a character arc where the main character struggles, like they really desperately want that blood family, and like you know, they want it, and they see these other people getting it, and you know, and then like they end up dying, sure, but like she could see that, and want it, that is a character flaw that will kill her. I think that, and then she learns to communicate with her trauma and start building a found family, and then she like, essentially saves herself from following this tragic fate of like trying to find her ancestors and like, getting this mysterious disease and then dying, you know. I think that would have been like a really interesting take on the character. Um, Maybe another thing I would actually do in this story would be to add another character arc for the side character, the talking piece of ham. I think her name's like Mattia or something. It really does not matter. Like, um, I, as for what story she would have, um, she is a blank canvas. She could have whatever, It could be a reflection of the main character. Like, the side character could have a story about like mommy issues, and I don't mean that derogatory. Like, someone who was hurt in the past by their mother, you know, does not want to have a family, does not, which is totally fine, her choice, right? Like, does not want to build those familial ties, blood or found, right? And then, like, through communicating, you know, the main character's real trauma to Mattia, maybe Mattia can learn what a motherly bond would actually look like, and, she's on board with the idea of found family, you know? Like, it could be far more interesting than what it actually is. It's a shame, really. It's a shame. But yeah, Time Tourist Outfitters. Oh, what would I rate it out of 5? Um, Probably a 3 out of 5, surprisingly. Yeah, I know. Even though I really ripped into this book, like, I said that the world building is not ideal, the magic system is a joke. Well, not a joke, but, irrelevant. Well, not irrelevant, but, like, pointless. The actual identity of the magic is pointless. Oh, wow, I'm actually getting text notifications. Ooh la la. No, I never get text notifications. No friends. Um, and then character traits, like, the characters are not character traits, and, the plot is a joke or really irrelevant. The magic system slash twist and motif and everything like that is just out the window. You know, I would, it was, I was able to read it. And that's kind of another thing. The prose was actually pretty decent. Like, when it comes to traditional publishing stuff, right? They really, really make this first chapter beautiful, perfect, stunning. Ooh la la, like they're going to the Met Gala or something. You know what I mean? Like, it is wonderfully written. And they get it published. They sign their contracts. Good for them. They got their cash. But the rest of the book clearly suffers. Like, it is so inconsistent between that first chapter and the rest of the book. The prose changes so drastically, and it kills it for me every single time. Kills it for me. Like, I cannot read published books normally because, oh my god, the prose is awful. I mean, and that's also because I don't really relate too much to Western culture, and I live in America, so all I'm getting is Western books, and I am getting international books. But that's I'm gonna talk about that in a little 5 minutes. Like, there are one or two Western books I did find that do not do it, and I do enjoy them. You know, so yeah, that's the reason why I'm giving this like 3 out of 5. It does not change its prose. It is honest. It is brutal. And I greatly appreciate it for that. Like, holy hell, compared to other books, oh my gosh. This is this was entertaining enough, even though everything was kind of bad. It was entertaining. The prose was nice. Yeah, 3 out of 5. Not bad. Anyway, so a small channel update, I guess. So the next book I want to read is Rashomon and 17 other stories by Penguin Classics, and they have how to pronounce his name in the front. Um, it is Akutagawa Ryusuke? I butchered it. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, but this is basically Ryoshu's character, Hellspring. Ryoshu's character is based off one of these short stories in this Penguin classic. So I am excited to read that next. However, I was reading it, and the author actually committed suicide, and it got me thinking about No Longer Human by Dazai. Um, I only read up to chapter 3 about that because, like, the main character is so flawed in that story, and, like, seeing him stuck in his own loops of, like, tragic and flawed thinking is just insufferable, you know, and, like, I have better things to do with my time. But, like, reading just the introduction, you know, that was like 2 or 3 years ago. I think I want to give it a second chance, No Longer Human. I want to read Rashomon and, like, this series of short stories and No Longer Human alongside each other. And I also want to talk about a certain manga that I DNF'd a while ago. Not because it was boring, like, its theme is fascinating, but I just lost interest in it. It was getting a bit long, you know, so I just simply lost interest in it. So yeah, that is hopefully the next book review. There's probably isn't going to be a video next week because um I have another midterm coming up. Actually, just last week I did not upload a video because I had to focus on my Calc 3 midterm. I think it went decently well. We'll see. It's vector calculus, so it's the easiest part. It's only going to get harder and harder from here. I have to memorize a whole bunch of derivatives and absurd, like, irrelevant identities, you know what I mean? All that fun stuff. So yeah, so probably no video next week. Next video I'll probably release would be about Limba's company. You know, just uploading my polls and whatever, count update, because yeah, I really want to try this B team. But yeah, anyways, um, thank you for listening to me rant. Uh, thank you for watching and have a good day.